everybody. So I just wanted to give you a quick introduction of the Special Ed 302 Differentiated Instruction Text Assignment. So as teachers, we are going to have to serve a variety of learners at different paces and stages, and learners that have different specific needs. And we're all going to have to do that while following a curriculum and a curriculum map, basically making sure that we're hitting all the things that we're supposed to hit every year as a teacher from a curriculum standpoint. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you a program called iBooks Author, and you can use this program, which is free on the Mac. Everybody has a Mac, so it's TC. But you can use this program to make custom-made differentiated texts for needs ranging from remedial needs to kids who may be struggling a little bit to kids who need some enrichment or some more advanced activities. Either way, we can make customized text that will be helpful for both specific students and for all students in general. So what you're going to do is you're going to be making a differentiated text. And your text is going to have two main components. It's going to have a section, or the first 2 pages from a section from an actual textbook, like a student teacher's edition, like a Basel. And then you're going to have a children's literature book, preferably if you can keep it to like 10 to 20 pages. That's probably an ideal length for the workload that you would have to undertake for this assignment. That's about a good size if you can find one around there. So what you're going to do, and I'm going to have you relate this to some earlier grades, let's say definitely primary grades. But what I want you to do is I want you to think about an early grade level topic in specifically science, but also potentially social studies if you're having a hard time with science, one of those 2 books or one of those 2 topics. So you're going to pick your topic and your projected grade level, and then what you're going to do is you're going to go to Ed Reserves in the library that's in the basement. And if you have a hard time getting around the basement, talk to the people at that long desk, the long librarian's desk. They can help you and show you anything you need to see. But basically everything is out there in that back right area, past kind of where the computers are in the basement. You walk in, there's the glass, little facade separating the drink machines from the computers, and then you go in. Computers and bathrooms are on the right. More computers and like the videotape, like labs and stuff are to the left. The desk is straight ahead, and then Ed Reserve stacks are going to be to the back right of that bottom floor. So you're going to go there and you're going to find your Basel textbook, which is just a textbook that kids would use. A teacher's edition is fine as well. And you're going to find a children's literature book that matches with your topic. And once you get your book, you want to look inside that teacher's or the Basel itself to find an Indiana Academic Standard. If you can't find one in the book itself, you're going to have to just Google it, Indiana Academic Standards. It's the first thing that comes up. And you want to align this activity to an actual Indiana Academic Standard, because you're going to be doing this when you're out there teaching anyways. So you picked a topic, science or history for early grades. You went to the library and you picked a Basel textbook and a children's lit book, both about this topic, and you align it to an Indiana Academic Standard. Then your next step, and I'm actually stop you after step number 2. After step number 2, you can actually go and watch my other video, which I think is called SBCE 302 DI Intro. You can just search for it on YouTube, or there's probably a link to it somewhere on your Blackboard. And it's kind of long, it's like 45 minutes long, but what it does is it walks you through all the steps of actually completing the assignment in the programs. Like I kind of complete the stuff along with you to a certain extent, and show you all the main features that you're going to have to incorporate into your iBook Author. So, like I said, do the first 2 steps when it comes to actually making the project, then stop, get on the video, and have all your materials out, and then just work along the video. Go step by step with the video. You may have to stop and complete a couple tasks and then come back to it. But if you start at the beginning of the intro video and you go through step by step to the end of the video, you will have everything that you need for this assignment shown to you, also in order for the most part. So okay, with that disclaimer being made, we had step 1 and 2. So then what we're going to do is we can move on to step 3, which is the differentiation part of it, and making it customizable and accessible. So with your Basel, with your textbook, you're going to find the section on whatever the topic is that you picked, and you're going to pick 2 pages, the first 2 pages of whatever section that topic is under, and what you're going to do is you're going to basically create a custom section text for your kids. Sometimes if your kids have specific learning disabilities, they may have a hard time reading, they may have some language delays, especially earlier on, or might be pretty behind on language development and literacy. So you might want to make sure that you are giving them assignments that is within their developmental range and that are developmentally appropriate. And there's a few things that we can do to make that happen. The first thing is your use of vocabulary, and the point is that you want to do 2 things. One is coming from chapter 6 of Master of Puri, if you remember from your text from 302, the past variable, this idea that we want to prioritize objectives. And by prioritizing objectives, we want to answer the question, what do we really, really want our students to know? And you teach a subject and you want people to know a bunch of stuff. The prioritization comes into play because you're going to have a kid that might have memory issues, a learning rate acquisition issues, may need more frequent breaks, or have higher fatigue levels, or any sort of a number of learning issues that could prevent you getting from everything, in an ideal world, everything that you'd want to do. This is where the prioritization comes into play, where you really need to focus and say, okay, if I just wanted to make sure that there was a couple things, a certain number, and you can decide that for yourself, number of things that I really think that every student should know about whatever it is that you're talking about by the time that we're done talking about it. And those should be the things that we specifically focus on for our book. What we're going to do then is take any of the vocabulary in our text, and we're going to make 2 decisions. One is, should we teach this as a vocabulary word? If so, it's important that we leave it as is, that we don't actually change or paraphrase the word, because teaching vocabulary is an important skill that children, even with learning issues, need to be able to do for, well, pretty much any subject. But anyways, so you're going to prioritize your vocabulary, the vocabulary that you think that students absolutely need to know and need to understand to have a basic understanding whatever the topic is. You're going to isolate those, basically make a list of them, and then in the glossary section of iBooks Author, which watch the second video, you're going to create a glossary of all the relevant terms. That's going to be good because it's going to let students preview the words that they're going to be seeing once they get into the text. So when it gets to that point, they don't have to decode that word for the first time. They've had that preliminary access and preliminary experience working with that word before, so they know how to say it, they know what it means, and when they come across it, they're not going to stop and okay, what's happening? And then, you lose all of your momentum from a comprehension standpoint, where they have to stop, think about something else, and then refocus on back what's happening in the text itself, which can lead to problems. So you want to prioritize the vocabulary, put all of the key vocabulary terms in the glossary in iBooks Author. Then the second thing you want to do is you're going to want to look at the supporting text for the key terms and the key vocabulary or concepts or whatever, and you're going to want to basically put that same information from the first 2 pages of your section, and you want to put that information into that particular subsection of the iBook Author. You want to teach them the same things that they would be learning if they read the textbook, except in a more accessible format. For example, there may be words that are overly complicated that are not vocabulary-based words. We could go through and we could paraphrase and make more simple or clear statements or directions so that students can spend less time decoding and trying to learn new words and more time trying to focus on the actual meaning and the actual content of the topic that we're talking about. It's a little bit more important. So that's really one of the first main things that you want to do, is really focus on the vocabulary and the words that are being used. Make sure that you introduce and preview all of the relevant vocabulary that you want students to learn, and then any developmentally inappropriate words that you see from the basal, you want to paraphrase those and make them more clear and more easily understandable for someone who has reading or comprehension issues. So so that kind of goes into part two. You're going to take the rephrased meat and potatoes from the content of the subject from those 2 pages in the basal textbook, and you're going to make a little mini book of your own. And it's not going to be pared down. It's not going to be less than, like, we're not just going to learn half the section, because that's not a realistic thing for us to do in cases for learners who have special needs, or they have certain learning problems, or they need special resources. Something, they just can't learn half the lesson, because then we go on to further lessons that build on the lessons that we're learning now. They're going to miss not having the other half of the lesson that they cut. What the key is instead of cutting actual content, that we are focusing content, and that we're making sure that we are hitting all of the key component topic areas, and we're providing multiple forms of support to encourage and foster the learning of said content areas. And that's kind of where the second one comes in. The second thing you're going to do to differentiate those 2 pages of your basal text is you're going to use tools within iBooks Author, and please see the video for that. And you're going to make different visual or other non-text elements that will supplement the text from the basal in your little mini section in your book. Get some cool pictures off the internet, and not just, oh, we're doing something on volcanoes, so I'm going to put some volcano pictures up. No, make it align and have to do with the lesson. Let's say if you're learning about how, the magma or whatever comes up through the ground, instead of just having pictures of the volcano, maybe you can show sequential diagrams of how the magma or the lava moves or something. I don't know, to pick whatever your topic, but do it mindfully. Okay, every decision that you make should be a critical one, because every picture you want it to put in should directly relate to something that they're going to see. It's why kids appreciate picture books so much, because they can glean a lot for comprehension from looking at the pictures while they're still mastering the graphemes and then the written text on the page, and they're still mastering how to read and understand that. The pictures, well, it's worth 1,000 words. It provides the context. That's why we want to add in those extra visual elements. You can add in pictures, you can add in videos. We have a diagram tool in iBooks. Watch the video to get the tutorial on that. So really, and we also have a review or quiz tool. So you want to provide extra elements in there, visual elements that are going to supplement the overall text and make also align very closely to the topics and content in your basal. Then the last step is you're going to take your children's lit book that's paired with your specific topic, and what you're going to do is you're going to take that book, basically scan every single page of it, including the front and back cover. You put those into a album, into a folder on your desktop, and then you're going to open up the Photos app, see the video for a demo, and you're basically going to put all those scans that you made into Photos, and you're going to use some magic from the Photos app to remove the text from those books. And then you're going to then resave those pictures, and you drag those into iBooks, and then you're going to use the text feature from iBooks so that iBooks realizes that you're using text, which will then activate any of the accessibility features with text that iBook and Mac has at its disposal. That's kind of the key function right there. And you're basically going to replace the text from your children's book into the iBook program. You're just going to type it right over where you took it out in the book. So your finished project is just going to be one iBook, one iBooks Author file exported. It's going to have 2 sections. Your first section is going to be your basal redesign, if you will. Your second is going to be the children's book, the accessible children's book, where you take the text out and you manually type the text back in to allow the accessibility features to work on iBooks and on your Mac. Okay, so that's the quick introduction to the 302 differentiated text project. If you guys need any help, know that there are open support hours in the Special Education Adaptive Lab, which is TC 708. That's every Thursday from 3 to 5 p.m. And you can get some help on this there. Also, the iCare Corner should be able to offer support on iBooks Author, and if you need help from them, you should be able to get it there as well. So if you have any further questions, feel free to contact your instructor, and best of luck. Thank you.